With the arrival of Code of the Duelist, there is a significant amount of hype surrounding the new TCG exclusive ritual archetype, Vendreads. This hype is similar to that which surrounded another ritual archetype which was released a while ago, Cyber Angels. Unfortunately, after a surprise top 32 placement in OYCS soon after its release, Cyber Angel popularity fell quickly by the wayside. An interesting question surrounding Cyber Angels is, did they receive a fair shake, or were they let down and inherently handicapped by their most popular deck design, which, in my opinion, actually made the deck less efficient? Let's see if some insight on this issue can be produced when looking at my Cyber Angel deck. Before beginning the build, note the title of the deck build, Pure Cyber Angels. I think one of the critical design flaws in Cyber Angel decks was their hybridization with Herald of Perfection. Now, a Herald of Perfection build running Benten is not a Cyber Angel Herald hybrid. It's just a Herald deck, and those two cards should be run together because Benten is almost the ideal card for a Herald of Perfection deck. However, the incorporation of other Cyber Angels into a deck with Herald is a recipe for bricky inconsistency, and is possibly why Cyber Angels never got a fair chance in the meta. In my opinion, to call any Cyber Angel deck good, it cannot run Herald of Perfection. Otherwise, it is either just a Herald deck featuring Benten, or just an inconsistent shadow of a Cyber Angel deck. Alright, with that as my mindset, let's get to the deck. Starting with the Cyber Angel material, I side one copy of Cyber Angel Varash as a somewhat situational yet meaningfully powerful boss monster. Now, the reason I side it is while it has a nice power play effect, when the opponent has an extra deck summoned monster on the field, allowing you to destroy all of those monsters, burning the opponent for 1,000 damage for each one destroyed, and then attacking twice at 3,000 attack. This monster does scream Finisher. This Finisher standing is only valid if the opponent has that extra deck summoned monster on the field. Therefore, I like it better in the side deck until I know the type of deck my opponent is running, i.e. whether it or not its full potential can be utilized frequently in games 2 and 3. Without its finisher standing, Varash is largely a wasted card demanding too many resources for too little payoff. The protection effect is also rather disappointing because it overlaps too much with the Machine Angel Ritual's Graveyard Banish effect, and can conflict with both Natasha and Sanctuary's effect. Also, this deck does not run a lot of face-up spells or traps, so that extra protection aspect is of limited value. If this effect neutralized targeting instead of destruction, it would have been much better. Instead of the one copy of Arash in the main deck, I run an additional copy of Dakini, making the total count 2 copies. Dakini is a fantastic monster for eliminating those key boss monsters with protection effects like anti-targeting and anti-monster effects that an opponent might want to sit on because its effect does not target and it affects the opponent directly, forcing the opponent to select the destroyed monster. It doesn't actually affect the monster that the opponent decides to get rid of. Dakini is one of the few monsters that can eliminate a masterpiece without a kaiju-like effect. The recover from the graveyard effect can be a double-edged sword, but definitely has its moments. Not surprisingly, I run 3 copies of Benten, for while its on-the-field effect is not that useful, it does have its moments against big monsters when he's backed up by an Honest. Obviously, its key feature is the search effect when tributed, which in this build extends beyond just its use in ritual summoning. I do not run any copies of Ida due to it being rather pointless in my opinion. The attack increase is okay, but not that valuable due to the effects associated with the other Cyber Angels. You typically do not win with this pure Cyber Angel deck by beating over the opponent. The Ritual Spell Search is even worse, making Ida basically a middleman, which does nothing but put a somewhat average monster on the field for a single card deck then, if the Ritual Spell is taken from the deck, for meaningful resource costs. If Idleton could summon itself by banishing material from the graveyard like a Shino bird, or sending the material from the deck similar to advanced ritual art, then it would have been useful. But that is not the case. Overall, I feel Idleton does nothing but adds inefficiency to the deck. I run 2 copies of Natasha as one of the more annoying and powerful cards in the game. The reason I run 2 copies is the threat of a single copy being banished, and the ability to summon the second one using the first one as tribute fodder, which gets the first one into the graveyard to help support the eventual utilization of the effect of the second one. Natasha is a rather vicious monster, for while its attack is nothing to write home about, it offers comprehensive battle protection for all ritual monsters by negating attacks, significant life point increase with no hard once per turn limit, which at minimum will be 500 when targeting itself and frequently over 1000 per turn, and a non once per turn graveyard effect that summons itself, giving you another opportunity to increase your life points, while also permanently stealing an opponent's monster in the process. The big drawback of Natasha is that it first must be ritual summoned to receive its graveyard effect, because its effect does involve its own summons from the graveyard, and proper planning to get it into the graveyard after the fact, because the opponent will not help you knowing what it can do from the graveyard, and he or she should actively be looking to bounce, banish, or spin her. The cost of the graveyard effect is rather immaterial because most of the time Natasha will hit the graveyard after tributing a Benten or another Cyber Angel. Natasha is one of the best monsters in the game that no one really talks about, and part of that reason is the deck somewhat needs to be built to address these issues. You can't just dump a copy of Natasha into your Cyber Angel deck and then call it a day and think it will do a lot to help. One needs to build around the idea of getting Natasha into the graveyard. I imagine that this required build philosophy is largely responsible for why most players do not like Natasha, because they have not tried to create this type of build philosophy. Thus, Natasha does not perform up to snuff, so to speak, and they just think it's a bad card. I don't like Absolute Ritual because shuffling cards back from graveyard to deck serves little benefit. A vast majority of the time, if you need this effect because of a lack of resources available on the field and or in the hand to summon, then you're going to lose, period. For this shuffling benefit, you lose the graveyard protection effect of the original Machine Angel ritual, or you're stacking your decks with more ritual spells than you probably really need. Neither one is a smart trade-off, in my opinion. 3 copies of Machine Angel Ritual is obvious. Its graveyard effect is definitely useful, protecting any light monster from destruction, not just Cyber Angels. Overall, there's just not much to say other than run 3 copies. For the non-Cyber Angel monsters, I run the obvious ritual material acquisition support, 3 copies of Manju of the 10,000 Hands. Overall, I've always been and probably will always have the opinion that if you're running a ritual deck, you really should run 3 copies of Manju. No questions, no debate, due to its versatility of what it can grab from the deck. Fortunately, Cyber Angels have their own archetype Manju in Cyber Petit Angel that searches Machine Angel Ritual or a Cyber Angel. With the importance of getting material for this deck to maximize consistency, this is another area where running 3 copies is almost mandatory. The ability to get the search from a special summons also supports Ritual Sanctuary. I run 3 copies of Cyber Tutubon and frequently lament the incredibly horrible idea of making this card an Earth Warrior instead of a Light Fairy. Yes, it is supposed to be the big sister of sorts to Cyber Tutu, but come on, Konami. This rigid adherence to lore, I guess, really hurt some meaningful, significant combo potential of this deck because this gal can't be searched by Benten. Despite the lack of searchability, grumble grumble, I run Tutubon as a kind of more efficient version of Ideten and is a very effective combo piece for Natasha in getting her off the field and into the graveyard through a rank 5 XZ play. This is especially useful when going second because you can put Shark Fortress on the field for 4,800 damage, and then, because Natasha's been sent to the graveyard via Shark Fortress's detach effect, if you can steal your opponent's monster, bringing Natasha back, and do some pretty major damage. If you steal a 2,200 attacker and your opponent doesn't have any monsters on the field, an OTK is quite feasible. Finally, Tutubon can get Petit off the field after it searches for more attack if necessary, and can also trigger Benten's search effect when she summons herself, because it tributes for her special summon. And Benten just says, if you tribute me, not if you tribute me for a ritual summons. I run 3 copies of Graydle Eagle for both offensive and defensive aspects. For if you are not searching for ritual pieces with Petit or Manju, Eagle provides an effective use of the normal summons, and in combination with Natasha's life point gain effect, the life point lost from its suicide control strategy is marginal. Also, when combined with Natasha's graveyard effect, Eagle can erase a number of strong opponent fields and make them your own. Also, I run 2 copies of Solar Windjammer to again help make rank 5 plays with Natasha. The light standing of Solar Windjammer is nice to summon Pleiades from the extra deck. Finally, I run 1 copy of Honest for searching via Benten to provide power, and 1 copy of Plaguespreader Zombie for combo potential, making an Arclight with Petit, making a level 7 Synchro with Natasha, or making a Crystal Wing with a level 4 target. For the remaining spells, I run the understandable 3 copies of Ritual Sanctuary and 2 copies of Terraforming. Now, 3 copies of Terraforming are fine for this deck because of Sanctuary's discard effect. There is very little inefficiency with running 3 copies of Terraforming. However, deck space keeps me from running that third copy. This deck is probably the most efficient deck for Sanctuary because it can get Petit Angel from the graveyard so effectively and easily, 2 spells, and then you get Petit Angel's effect and get to search. I run the staple 1 copy of Raigeki, and for ritual decks, I run the staple 1 copy of Preparation of Rites. I run 1 copy of Foolish Burial to dump a Plaguespreader, a Cyber Petit Angel when Ritual Sanctuary is on the field, or a Cyber Angel to fuel Natasha's graveyard effect. 3 copies of Instant Fusion I feel are essential for more combo plays with Plaguespreader and Natasha. Finally, while Natasha protects from attacks and Machine Angel Ritual protects from destruction, the deck definitely needs some monster effect protection when combos are not immediately available, so I run 2 copies of Forbidden Chalice. For the traps, I run just 1 copy of Torrential Tribute for interruption. For the extra deck, I run 2 copies of Sea Monster of Theseus, level 5 and tuner standing help you make plays, 1 Darkfire Dragon, again, as common in most of my decks. Any level 4 fusion that works with instant fusion is fine. For whatever reason, I just like Darkfire Dragon, I guess. 1 Leo Keeper of the Sacred Tree. You can make this with Theseus and Natasha. 1 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. 1 Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. It's a nice card for helping Cyber Angel targeting protection if you have to drag out the duel a little longer than you might want. 1 Black Rose Dragon. 1 Blackwing Nothung the Starlight. Again, similar to Darkfire Dragon, any generic level 6 here is fine. I like Nothung for its burn and its attack reduction. 1 Herald of the Arclight. 1 Constellar Pleiades. 1 number 61 Volcasaurus. 1 Shark Fortress. 1 number 12 Crimson Ninja. This is largely for going first when you don't have a Solar Jammer available to make Constellar Pleiades. 1 Tornado Dragon, and 1 Sky Cavalry Centuria. Overall, the general strategy of this deck is to get Natasha on the field and then in the graveyard as fast as possible, and let the potential of her graveyard effect somewhat dictate your opponent's plays. This deck can OTK rather effectively when going second due to Natasha's graveyard effect, assuming your opponent doesn't have those pesky DD crows. Of course, this deck does have some issues going first, but due to Natasha's life gain ability, it can be more annoying for the opponent and the duel when they don't have an OTK available. Not surprisingly, this deck is not the most consistent in the world, but in my experience, it gets the job done more often than most people would think for a Cyber Angel deck, and it will surprise you with how good it actually is. With that, before I go, let's remember, friends don't let friends run Herald of Perfection in Cyber Angel decks. Leave those Heralds for Herald of Perfection decks. Well, that's my Cyber Angel deck. Thank you for your attention and your time. I'm out.